We all know about the mystery and the dark, evil energies that lie behind the door of room 1408. But were there other secrets Mr. Olin was not telling? Secrets in other areas and places located inside the Dolphin Hotel. For instance, does anyone get to stay in any other room on the 14th floor? Sure, there are clues that indicate so, but were the clues deceptive? As with many videos on the channel, the alternative theories mentioned within may trigger anxiety, rage, and disbelief, especially those who've only watched the movie once or really didn't care for it. So, with that, we look deep into the hallways of the Dolphin Hotel, and if anyone stays on the 14th floor. 1408 was released in 2007, directed by Mikael Håfström, based on the short story written by Stephen King. I don't necessarily embrace the theory completely. I only posit that the 14th floor goes unoccupied. There is evidence to the contrary, and the more I tried to justify a counter-argument, the more I found myself reaching for a conclusion that I wanted to see, and, by admission, is more fun. There are two cuts from the film, one in particular, that may disprove this controversial theory. The other, however, does quite the opposite. If deliberate, by choice of the filmmaker, puts a new spin on the hauntings that happens inside the Dolphin. When watching 1408 the first time, we implicitly believe in the rules created for the audience, specifically expecting the supernatural to happen inside a hotel room. It's suggested well before Mike Enslin steps into room 1408, earlier than the conversation held inside Olin's office. The suggestion comes in the film's opening scene. We're conditioned from the very beginning to be anxious for something ghostly to happen, only inside a room, but the movie's premise was a lie. Enslin's experiences with the supernatural, at least the bizarre, began as early as in the Dolphin lobby. A mother with her vintage baby carriage that the screenplay revealed was the apparition of Mike's wife, Lily. The out-of-date, untimely, and unwanted appearance of the bellman, who is dressed not like the others who take guests' luggage. If you choose to not believe Mike's neighbor was ethereal, but just a mother with an outstanding choice in baby carriages staying in the next room, I was with you. I was stubborn, certain that Mike's visions seen through the air duct were mutually exclusive because the evil powers of the room were limited to inside the room, as I once thought. Then I read the screenplay, and after several more views, began to see the subtle clues and started questioning what I expected to be real. This sense of comfort, a false safe zone, is something 1408 gave us in the hallway. We see and hear what we expect: a busy housekeeper, guests' voices behind doors, and leftover room service trays. Nothing to see here. But we will learn that the Dolphin isn't safe from ghosts anywhere in the hotel. The evil that exists there not only identifies Mike as he walks in, but has a general idea of his past and what Lily looks like. It didn't wait for him to step into the room before it stepped inside his head. Olin gives two clues. The first is his boast that the Dolphin runs at 90% occupancy, always. The other is the fact he won't even step out onto the 14th floor unless it's that day of the month. The 14th floor is unusually quiet and reserved. It feels it's a world detached from the energy and life felt in the lobby below. It doesn't feel like 9 out of every 10 rooms on the floor are occupied. It's just too quiet. With a little internet research, we can discern there were about 35 rooms on the 14th floor. Does it feel that all but roughly 4 were unrented, including 1408? Why does Olin dramatically stay in the elevator car, one push button away from retreat? Does he have so few guests on the floor that he never bothers to walk the halls? Could it be he's just not afraid of the room, but of the entire floor? So much, he'd rather not have one guest stay in any room there. The first piece of evidence that immediately defies such theory giving some comfort and that warm feeling inside, is the housekeeper. She's more brave than her manager, Mr. Olin, it seems, making her harmless appearance just moments after Olin pretended the carpets on the floor were covered with hot coals. It's also quite a coincidence that we see a housekeeper soon after Olin tells his story about the one from El Salvador who had cut her eyes out. Certainly, she was real. But where did she go? After Mike makes a full circle, she and her cart are nowhere to be seen. Wouldn't they bump into each other? She could have ducked into another room, pushed the cart inside, and closed the door behind her. At closer inspection, the housekeeper is pushing a simple laundry cart. She wasn't changing the sheets or putting mints on pillows. She could have headed towards the laundry if one existed on the floor, and there wasn't. She could have locked herself in one of the storage rooms with a basket of dirty towels. I sure do wish there was an earthly explanation. Ah, the elevator, you say. There are 2 elevators to choose from on each floor. However, we know that the housekeeper could not have used the same car Enslin had just stepped out of. At about 24:21 into the film, Olin presses the button for the 14th floor with Mike Enslin. Including the 4 seconds it takes the doors to close, the elevator arrives on the 14th floor, opening its doors at 25:18, 53 seconds later. It takes 53 seconds from the lobby, assuming no stops in between. Olin presses the button for the 1st floor and the elevator door closes at 25:45. At 25:54, Enslin begins his tour of the hallway and meets the housekeeper 25 seconds later at 26:19. Considering her rather leisurely pace, she's at least 25 seconds away from the elevators. Meanwhile, at 26:38, Olin returns to the lobby. The housekeeper won't arrive for another 6 seconds at 26:44. Not to mention the car would need another 53 seconds to return without stopping. But do you know what else happens at 26:38? It's the exact moment we see the elevator area a second time, before the elevator dings and opens the doors at 26:48. We never see the housekeeper approach or wait to get on the elevator, not the one to Mike's left, nor the one to his right. But someone or something had to call for the elevator to return to the floor. We just couldn't see them anymore. The next piece of evidence to consider disproving this insane theory are the voices Mike hears behind the doors. It's subtle, if not subliminal, for first-time viewers to believe rooms 1403 and 1406 are occupied. After all, we hear voices. We see Mike look. We see the door numbers. We connect the audio cues and put guests behind the walls. Only 1408 is haunted. However, we also hear screams and other distortions. Are they diegetic? Or are they imaginary, sourced from the photographs and the journal Enslin is carrying? Was everything up to the elevator ding imaginary? But go ahead and continue to believe the guests were real. The guests were human, each wanting to enjoy their holiday with loved ones. Every man and woman has an urge to live and to love. But watch the segment of the video yourself when you get the chance next time. Ask yourself, how did you decide what was real happening in the film universe versus what were sound effects made solely for dramatic purposes for the audience's benefit? The screenplay makes no mention of guests making noises behind any of the doors. It also doesn't mention the housekeeper either. But what is in the film and screenplay is the young mother and her baby carriage. The script mentions explicitly she is using a magnetic keycard to gain entry through her door, because unlike Mike's room, hers isn't haunted. While the film doesn't show this piece of trivia, it also never questions how she arrived on the 14th floor. Possibly she used the other elevator. The key scenes leading up to the reveal she's a younger version of Lily Enslin is covered in an earlier video. If you are one to believe that she was an apparition fabricated by the hotel, then you are likely to believe that the hallways of the 14th floor is haunted as Olin suspected, if not the lobby as well. But what if you want to continue believing she and her baby are as real as the guests of 1403 and 1406? Are there any other pieces of evidence that would prove otherwise? There is the leftover room service tray. It is mentioned in the script and seen when Mike circles the hall the first time. A half-eaten burger, already salvaged by flies, is evidence of life in the hotel. However, in the film, it's seen when Mike circles the halls the second time and not visible in his first pass. Could the flies indicate time has supernaturally passed in the few short seconds, evidence of room service made long ago? Or was I seeing what I wanted to see? Before we get to the final two clues, including one that disproves this alternative theory, like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this one. Films often make a story by showing and telling us things, but they can also tell things by not showing. It comes after Mike Enslin sets his room on fire. We get a very quick cut, a short 2-second clip of the hallway in front of 1408. If the mother and child were real, it would be almost obligatory to show them escape safely, as true for the rest of the guests on the floor. We never see them. The film went to great lengths to show an orderly exit in the lobby of other guests of the Dolphin. But not so for the 14th floor. Other than Mike, trapped in his room, there were none. Accentuated by the lamps, not illuminating the halls, it is remembered as a dark, desolate place, without hope, where no one visits. As mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is one cut that keeps me from totally embracing the theory that the floor goes unoccupied as the rest of the hotel makes up the 90% occupancy. It also is 2 seconds long. Seen after Mike enjoys his last cigarette, 11 seconds after the cut of the desolate hallway. The hall is filled with panicked guests making their way to the staircase, past what appears to be a room with its door glowing ember red. Is this room 1408? Likely not. The chandelier further down the corridor does not match the decor when we first look down its hallway. Furthermore, the chandelier is only seen hanging over the elevator hall. What floor were we looking at? One theory is that 11 seconds later, after the fire alarm tripped, guests poured out of their doors on the 14th floor. The eerie quietness Mike experienced the first time was an illusion. The other theory is while we've seen the deliberate quietness of the 14th floor, meanwhile, other occupied floors are evacuating. This is followed by a match cut that hints a subliminal message that the guests are descending from the second floor. Which one do you believe? But this wasn't the cut that had made me question the theory. This is. Do you remember when I suggested that if the young mother and baby were real, it would be an obligation to show they escaped safely? Here they are. The young mother, still in her white dress, holds her infant tight as she scurries into the lobby. She's even seen in a match cut right before. Was she real? If so, why the blink and miss it moment? Or is this a ghostly sign that some of the apparitions of the Dolphin survived? If you're wondering, does anyone stay on the 14th floor? The answer is most likely yes. Let me know in the comments below, do you think the 14th floor was haunted? This is Mr. G of Synergy saying, cottage cheese is no substitute for fries. Check out other videos on the channel. Thanks for watching.